Hey, everybody. Good evening. Make sure I'm all good here. Looks like it. All right. So I just wanted to come on here and, talk about modeling paste. This fun new thing that I picked up. I mean, it's a new supply to me. It's been around for a while, so I just mean new to me. So this is what I have. It is a lower grade Artist Loft brand modeling paste. It's just what you can buy. I believe it's Michael's store brand. Academic level. Like I said, it's a new product to me, so I didn't want to invest in a more high dollar brand just yet because I just wanted to try it out and play with it a bit. Also, I don't know, maybe I won't love it. I'm not sure. It's hard to say. So I just didn't want to spend, $15, $16 on a little tub of it. The Artist Loft was a little more budget friendly. So modeling paste is a very thick paste. It's a paste. So we use it for adding texture. I'll show you this right here. I loaded this up with modeling paste a little bit ago. Some parts are still wet. It's hard to see, but I think my camera's freezing. It does have texture. I think you can see that there. So I tried to kind of make a dogwood flower. It maybe didn't quite turn into that, but that's what I was going for. So I've got the texture with the flower, got the middle of it is raised up. Some of the edges of the flower are raised up, and then I put lines in there as well to kind of accentuate the veins on the flower, and then just kind of a smear of paste in the background just for added texture. And that is one way you can use modeling paste to add texture. Another way, which I'm going to try out now, is to actually add it to your paint. And when you're using modeling paste, the best way to apply it is with a palette knife, or I believe they're called spatulas as well. And I only have one. There's a ton of different ones that you can get, different sizes, different shapes. This is the only one I have for right now because I have not gotten too much into painting with palette knives. So let's get started here. So I'm just going to open this up and I will show you the consistency of this. It is quite thick. Like, I don't know, peanut butter, maybe. Very, very thick there. And one of the differences between, even when we add this to our paint, a lot of the paints, when they dry, they kind of level out and flatten as they dry. Modeling paste will keep the shape. So let's see, I'm going to go ahead and switch my screens here. I tend to like this setup a little better. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and just put some of that on my palette. And actually something flat probably would have been easier rather than my little well palette. So as we add this to our paint, it should lighten the paint just a little bit, but not a huge amount. Because as you can see, hopefully this paste is kind of an off-white, maybe super light gray color. Excuse me. So, and I have not tried this. I have not added it to paint yet. So we're going to see what this will do. And at this moment, my goal is to just kind of push it around on my canvas a little bit. Goodness, excuse me. And see what we end up with. But I kind of want to use some green. So, and I'm considering even adding this maybe to my big Monstera painting. I feel like that could that could benefit from some texture, maybe in the really highlighted areas, like make it stick up a little more. I feel like that might look cool. This paint though, this is the Golden brand, which is a heavy body, and it is a brush stroke a lot better than my student grade generic brand. So with the modeling paste, it will be, should be even more pronounced. Really thick. And I don't totally have a plan. Excuse me. I don't know what's going on. And I need to look into more what is in modeling paste. It's definitely got some grit to it. So I'm wondering what we should do. Can you guys see those? That nice texture. It's hard to get the angle here. I'm gonna let my dog in real quick. She's pawing at the door. Don't knock things over with the tail. Wow, that turned out like a really nice kind of Kelly green, I think would be the name for it. feel like this would be really good in an abstract painting. I am not a qualified abstract artist, so I don't really know. But it seems like it would add some really interesting texture to any piece, but especially something more abstract. So I'm coming into this without high hopes, really, because like I said, I don't have a plan. I just wanted to try it out. I think you could take the edge of the palette knife and create even more texture. Oh, I got some really straight lines if I use the entire edge of it. Now what will happen? I wonder if I can. Oh. Just going to try something out here real quick. Just remove. Okay. Add there. Huh, I can do that. Sorry, I was just testing something out on my streaming service. So it's got a little brighter green here. Just kind of get a little bit of an ombre. Not very good because it's a really hard transition there. No idea what I'm making here. So if you're seeing anything in this, let me know. We would just take some inspiration from that. I'm sure I'll find a use for this in something, even paint parties. might benefit from this, just adding a different texture. So you can use this on, excuse me, canvas or wood, completely uncolored. You can just kind of smear it onto there, let it dry, and then paint right over top of it, and it would just give everything a nice texture. What should we do with this? Maybe should have started with a different color. Oh, I just got an idea. I'm sorry if that scraping sound is like super loud. And then the grittiness of this modeling paste is a little bit, it's a little much, kind of. Let's do a darker green. So I definitely think this is something that you would want to keep on a thicker surface. Like if you're going to use it on paper, maybe a really heavy weight paper. Canvas. I'm not so sure that it would behave nicely on paper. Maybe super thick watercolor paper. So maybe I just do this with it. If I find this to be fun, I will end up getting more palette knives. But for right now, I'm just going to use what I have, because this is just an experiment. But isn't that kind of what art is pretty often? It's just experimenting. I feel like it should be, at least some of the time. Like, sometimes there shouldn't be really an end goal. You know, like the objective should just be to play around. See what the medium does. I know I've gone into some pieces focused on what I would like the end result to be. And if it's a medium that I'm not familiar with, and I think I'm just going to do it, you know, and it's going to be this great masterpiece. It's not likely. Highly improbable that I'm going to go into something and always come out with something great. It's actually pretty rare. So I think I will turn this sideways. These little tiny canvases are kind of fun. It's from the Dollar Tree, so it's not perfect. I mean, it's got some flaws. But if I really wanted to, I could just go through and, you know, do another coat of gesso, and that would probably fix quite a bit of anything that I would see as a flaw or an issue. It's just seems really rough. If this turns out decent at all, maybe I should send some happy mail to somebody. Maybe some of you that are watching, just send something to you. What do you think? I wouldn't send you something terrible, though. Try to make it good. It wouldn't be very happy mail, would it? If I sent you something and it just had to go right in the trash. Sorry, squeaky chair. And this, I was actually thinking I might work on the on this little tiny canvas that I did with the dogwood flower on it. I was thinking I might paint on that tonight, but kind of having fun with this. And I don't think that that one is dry. I laid on the modeling paste kind of thick. So I don't expect that to be workable this evening. This is kind of fun, though. I would love it if you said hello as you come on here so that I know who's here. Before you comment, if you grant StreamYard permission to see your name, that would be awesome. Doesn't do anything besides tell me who's commenting and where you are watching, whether it's YouTube or Facebook. Cool, that was fun. Okay, so to clean this off, because I'm going to switch colors, I'm just going to use a damp paper towel or a baby wipe. I'm going to switch colors here. I want to do a little bit of a sky, maybe. Hi, Jenny. How are you doing? Good to see ya. All right. Okay, so I'm just going to try a little bit of blue. I'm curious to see what happens to you, Ellen. A little bit of blue. Okay, see how that is lightening it up a bit? I think you can kind of see that. So to be perfectly honest, the sound when I'm mixing it is kind of like it's gritty. So it's definitely got that grit sound to it, if you know what I mean. Oh, almost like the underside of a piece of pottery where it sits on, you know, there's always that part where it has to sit so it doesn't get glazed or anything. It's just like raw clay, I guess, and it's always got that gritty feel. It gives me the jeebies. Ugh. So I need to check more into what this is made of because I've seen quite a few videos, which I didn't watch, on how you can make your own modeling paste. Or I think the videos, excuse me, they were calling it, they call it texture paste. And I know that there is something you can do with acrylic paint and mixing baking soda. I learned that from a friend. And you can take a piece of pottery, not pottery, sorry. You can take just about anything and paint with your acrylic paint mixed with baking soda to give it, it's like a pottery texture. It's kind of cool. So I don't, the modeling paste has some like homemade stuff. Maybe it's got some, did I say baking soda or baking powder? I think it's baking soda. I don't know if that's what I said, but that's what I should have said. So I really don't know what I'm doing. It just started to look like a field. I was just thinking maybe a field with wildflowers and cloudy sky. Ah, my hand doesn't want to hold on to that. But I am definitely not used to using a palette knife. This is interesting. Also called a spatula, and that is just like trying to paint with a spatula. It's different. And I'm already kind of wishing that I had more options, different sizes and shapes. But that is just the art supply hoarder inside of me coming out. That's all that is. I just want all the things. Just to try. How do you know you don't like a medium unless you try it, right? Oops. So let's see, Ellen and Jenny, you guys must be watching from the business page, not the free group. Because I kind of messed up on when I was coming into my studio to go live, and the destinations that I chose to live stream kind of messed up on it at first. So the first like 10 minutes or so, I wasn't on my business page. I was in another group that I have not opened up yet. It is not time. And the only people that are in that group are my business page and my personal page. So there's nobody in there to watch. So this is definitely giving it an impasto look. Whatever popped up on my Facebook. Okay, that works. So if I remember correctly, impasto is a style of painting where the paint is really thick and you get lots of texture. And I believe that it's typically painted with a palette knife to give those really good blobs. I don't, it's not blobs, but always makes me think of like a lot of the old masters paintings. They're just very textured. And maybe even a Van Gogh. I don't know that though. I don't know if Van Gogh did his work in the impasto style. I guess it would be style. Just don't quote me on any of this. This is pretty fun. I'm enjoying this. And there is no modeling paste in my white, but I'm laying it on kind of thick. And like I said, this brand, the golden acrylics, tends to be thicker than what I've been using. So even though it doesn't have the modeling paste in it, I think it's going to still give it a good texture. And with how thick this paste is, I imagine if you're using a paintbrush, it would really just gunk up the bristles and just become a really big kind of clump. You could see that being pretty big pain to work with. I think I may have to get back into the green and work some of that back in there. There's some more the dark blue. How's that looking so far? I feel like it looks better on the screen than it does in person. Does it need some sunset colors in there? I'm just obsessed with sunsets, pretty skies. I don't know. I think I'll stay away from that for now. I feel like there's enough going on. And maybe I'll put some little flowers sprinkled in here. So then that might end up being a little too much. A little more white. Just kind of build up some cloud tops. I'm trying to just use the tip of the spatula here. This is so weird. It just feels, because I've never used this before, it feels awkward in my hands right now. So you know what that means? It means I need to use this tool more often. Oh my goodness. Put some highlights on, we'll say that's clouds down low. I really like how this is holding the streaks of color so well. So, not painting related. It is supposed to be almost 80 degrees here on Thursday. 80 degrees. Well, it's not supposed to be 80, but getting close. That makes me like unbelievably excited. I'm so tired of being cold. So tired. All right, now I'm at the point where the more I do to it, the worse it might be looking. Like maybe it's time to just stop. But I'm not listening to myself. Maybe that's what it needed. Does that look like a cloudy sky? I like it. I'm gonna wipe off this palette knife. Then I'm gonna get some of just the blue and just touch up this. Just touch that up a little bit. So yeah, I will have to let that dogwood flower sit and make sure it's completely dry before I do anything with it. And it's nothing spectacular, but I do want to just give it some time to dry. Maybe it'll turn out nice. Never know. As of right now, it kind of looks like a dogwood flower. Not this, but this here. Hard to see. You can see some of the shadow and texture, but okay. Clean that off again. Get some more green, the bright stuff. Now that looks like just a really bright spot there. So that might act more as a highlight. Kind of scraping off some of that Just giving a little texture. Whoops, that went way further than I wanted it to. See if I can scrape that a little bit. It doesn't change the texture too much. Just really made it super bright compared to the rest of it. I think maybe those are trees up there. What do you think? Those little bits. Whoops. Stuck my finger right in it. Yeah, got some trees up there. I think I could add a little more, maybe. Make it a little more tree-like off in the distance. Since it's already there, just kind of work with it. Because I made such a contrast there. Just pick up more of that in between grain. Just kind of dab that in there. What kind of flowers do we need in there? Poppies? I feel like that's a poppy field. I'm going to see what this does. In here. That doesn't really change too much. That was too much. Way too much. That's okay. It's one of the fun things about focusing more on the process as the objective is that I started out with really nothing in mind. So, you know, it's hard to be disappointed with it. I didn't expect it to look like anything in particular. So that just kind of made it a little more fun. It's just about learning how to use this palette knife. Definitely need some flowers in there. So, because I love magenta, we're going to start with that. I feel like I should be able to make it look a little bit of red. Maybe just a teeny touch of black. We'll see what that does, because I know the modeling paste is going to lighten up that color. It doesn't take very much black at all. Just a little bit. To really change that color, but that's not quite turn out how I want it to. So another dab of magenta. I thought red poppies might look cool in there, but might just be going with magenta poppy. They're not really going to have much of a shape anyway. So it all works out. Okay, I'm going to grab a big hunk of that paste. Okay, this just turned out like a purple, kind of purpley color. No, not really purple, burgundy. It's definitely not red, but it's kind of cool. However, I'm going to add a little bit of yellow and see what happens. I still have not had a chance to finish my mixing chart, so it's an experiment right now. I need to do that. That way I'm more familiar with my colors in the somewhat limited palette that I have. I know I can make a ton of different colors. That mixing chart will really help me understand exactly what colors I can get out of it. This contrast is not, it's not really going to be enough, I think, to make much of a difference in my little painting here. Yeah, it needs to be lighter. More white or more yellow? I'm thinking yellow. That is very, very dark. Again, that's not a huge deal. But since I'm doing this, I might as well try to brighten it up, right? Oh, I don't really like that. Like, what color is that even? Nobody knows. It's interesting. It's not my favorite color. Don't know what it is. All right, start over. So I'm just trying to whip up a nice bright color here. I just came up with like a really muddy orange. And orange poppies would be great, but not muddy looking. I'm gonna keep going with that. Do with my, nope. All right, I'm gonna finally mix up a color that I am liking, and then I'll get these little blob flowers in there, and then we'll call it a night. Again, I'm getting close to kids' bedtime, so that'll get me in there to help with the bedtime routine. I won't keep anybody on here too late. Okay, that's a little brighter. Maybe. That was way too much in that area. So I'm going to add some in here and then just kind of like scrape it. I at first was trying to make really, not really defined, but like really vaguely define a flower. I'm not going to do that. I decided I'm going to use just the edge of my brush. It's not a brush. The edge of my knife. And just kind of dab in areas of, let's say they're clumps of poppies. I don't want to commit to too much detail here. So, Ellen, if you're still here, how are you doing today? And Jenny. I've been thinking about all of you guys today. I feel like that looks better than when I was trying to actually do little slightly defined. It goes with the it goes with the rest of this a little better. It's just really kind of sloppy. Oh, you lost me for a while. I wonder if I totally lost connection and didn't even know it. Sitting here talking to myself like a fool. I must have. Sorry about that. So I had asked Ellen how you're doing today. Just hope you're doing well. I'm just kind of spreading around this first few blobs that I put in there. Trying to help it kind of blend in with the rest. I actually kind of like this for what it was when I started, and again, I know I'm repeating myself, but for having absolutely no particular direction I was planning to go with it, it kind of turned into something sort of cool. Not too shabby. Oh, and this is kind of cool, like way off in the distance with just a little bit on my spatula, a little bit of paint. I can just kind of scrape that on there and just give little hints of flower clumps off in the distance. Because the texture that I've already laid down is starting to dry and is catching a little bits of paint on the bottom of this spatula. That got a little out of hand there, but that's okay. Yeah, long day. I know hugs over the internet are not the same as real hugs, but sending you hugs and love. Well, what do you think? I think we could call it good. Not a bad little impromptu painting. Could probably use some. Oh. Are you and Jen watching on from different places? I wonder if I've done something to just totally mess it up. Wouldn't be surprised, really. I wouldn't. I am far from being an expert at this stuff. Someday when I can, maybe I will be able to give somebody else a job that can help me with all the tech stuff because I'm not great at it. What do you think? Does it need any white highlights on the flowers? Even just a little? Or maybe that's good, just like that. I don't know. I think it's all right. Lots of texture on this because of that modeling paste. I'll have to play around with that more. That's pretty neat. It might be hard to see though. It's like, yeah, it doesn't look like it's showing up on there. So not a ton of texture, but I like what's there. The flowers are raised up a little bit in the grassy area. The clouds have nice texture. That's pretty cool. That's pretty fun. All right, well, I'm going to call it a night. I'm going to get in there with the family and start working on bedtime, I think. And thank you guys for joining me. Thursday evening, I think I have some kid stuff to do, so I'll try to be on again this week. I'm just not sure when exactly. As always, if said it's your phone. Bummer. Well, I'm glad you're back. But yes, gonna go ahead and say goodnight now. And I will probably do my normal thing and let you guys know, I don't know, 15 to 30 minutes before I'm able to get on again later this week. So thanks again, and I will see you guys later. Have a good night.